Hello and welcome to another episode of Doha Heat Podcast. I hope you've all been having an amazing week, and we have an amazing guest with us in the studio today with a really inspiring story that I'm so looking forward to hear about. So her name is Sondra Hope. She is the founder of Yala Healthy.
Yes.
And that's a fitness company, and she has a very inspiring backstory to share with us. So let's get started, Sondra. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, firstly, thank you for having me. My name is Sondra Hope. I have been living in Qatar for just over 3 years now, and I am a nutrition coach, a wellness coach, and a fitness trainer. And I specialize in child nutrition as well as managing disease through nutrition. And then I also launched a range of healthy snacks and treats that I also sell through Yala Healthy to promote health with children and adults as well. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so what brought you to Qatar?
Well, we've been living in the Middle East before that. My husband got an opportunity to come here. Always loved the Middle East. Great education. A lot of benefits as an expat to live here, a lot of opportunities, and I thought it would be an excellent place to actually promote what my passion is, which is wellness and health.
That's amazing. So I know that you started a fitness company, and fitness is a big thing these days. A lot of people are trying. There's so many actually gyms opening in Qatar that I've noticed, or just fitness training programs, different kinds of ways to be fit, like new initiatives. So I want to know what made you want to start something like this.
Well, one of the biggest reasons, to be honest with you, is firstly because I myself was not one of those naturally fit people, naturally thin people. I also had to struggle through the ups and downs of going through diseases, going through being a mom, being a business person, late night stress. And I found that a lot of times everyone neglected the third aspect of health and wellness, which was the mental part of it. So everyone focused on nutrition, everyone focused on training, but no one focused on your mind and the mindset and just how important that is to not just getting success, but to actually keeping that success. And it's something that I felt that I wanted to get out there, is to raise that awareness. And also, I think there's so many conflicting information out there. The one week you hear how bad coffee is for you. The next week, there's this breakthrough study of how great coffee can be for you. So it's very difficult for a lot of people, and we tend to overcomplicate things. And you go in the market and you pay a lot of money and for something that promises a certain result. And we don't have the knowledge. We're not empowered enough. And we don't ask questions. We just accept it. We pay the money. We don't get the results. And then we live with that regret. And that's why I wanted to be able to talk to people in a way that people understand. And the one thing I always talk about when I say or talk about my nutrition is that I do not want to tell people how to eat. I want to teach you how to eat. Because at the end of the day, no one can live off a meal plan for the rest of their lives. If you do not understand why I'm telling you to eat the way you do, you would never be able to make it a lifestyle. And it has to be a lifestyle. It's the only way for something to be sustainable is for it to be a lifestyle.
Awesome. Okay, so you were talking about a little bit about how you were struggling with this. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that?
Yes. In 2009 we moved to the Middle East. At that stage, I was working in a corporate environment. The 8 to 5. A lot of stress, a lot of takeaways, very inactive, and I picked up a lot of weight. And but I mean, you would perhaps exercise 2-3 times a week, 30 minutes on a treadmill, just more to make myself feel better than anything else. And in 2009, towards December, I I went to a doctor for a routine checkup, and they found a lump in my left breast, and I went for an ultrasound and a biopsy. That stage I was 24 years old, and they phoned me at work and told me that you've got breast cancer. And I was absolutely shocked, and everything happened so fast. At that stage, I was engaged, but I mean, I wasn't married yet. I was busy planning my wedding, and at age 24, you're supposed to be worrying about the next shoe sale or the next sale at H&M, not about the fact that you now have breast cancer. So within 2 weeks of my diagnosis, I went in for surgery, and I had a bilateral double mastectomy. And it was obviously a very emotional time for me. I had to deal with the scars. I had to deal with the change in my life that was happening. And after that, a lot of things changed. A lot of things got put into perspective for me. Things that previously I would worry about, the little small details in life, suddenly just didn't become important for me anymore, because everything went into perspective. So eventually, my husband and I got married, and a year later, I went for my routine checkups, which you have to do when you were diagnosed. And it turned out that the cancer recurred again in the left chest wall. So I had to go through 9 rounds of chemotherapy. But being the person that I am, everything for me is having control. And it was a very out of control situation. So I focused on controlling the things I can. So firstly, I shaved off my hair myself, because I felt if I'm going to lose it, it's going to be on my own terms. And with everything in my life, if you can't beat it, humor it. So we had a hair shaving party. My husband and I shaved each other's heads off. I went through my chemotherapy. There were times that I felt that I couldn't go with it. I couldn't do it anymore. But I kept going through. I did my chemotherapy, and I was declared in remission. At that stage, I was still going from the one extreme where I lose a lot of weight because of the chemotherapy to picking everything up again. And then the next obstacle we had to face is we wanted to start a family. But due to chemotherapy, it puts you into menopause. So I was unable. I went to 4 different doctors, and they said that I'm unable to get pregnant and that I could try fertility treatment. However, the problem is the hormones is not very good for cancer. But we decided we would take the risk. But then a week before I was going to start, I woke up feeling slightly nauseous, did a pregnancy test, and I found out that I was pregnant naturally. That stage, still, the doctors didn't think it was going to work because my hormone levels weren't well. And on the 31st of August 2012, a beautiful little redhead girl with blue eyes was born, super healthy, and she's now 6 years old. And about 6 months after she was born, I was still not, even through all of that, had I come to the point where I've realized just how important my health was for me. And I was weighing 96 kilograms, and I can't use the baby as an excuse because she was already 7 months old. And I remember everyone talks about that turning point, and I think my turning point was it was the day that I went for my checkup again, and they had told me that for the 3rd time the cancer has now come back, but that it's now spread into the rest of my body as well, which means it's stage 4 metastatic cancer. And I was really angry. I felt it was extremely unfair. I have this miracle baby, and now this happens to me. And I remember sitting in the rocking chair. I can remember every detail of it, and I was rocking her to sleep. And I looked down at her and I thought to myself, I would die for this little person. And then something in my mind said to me, but if you're willing to die for her, then surely you should be willing to live for her. And that's when I decided that this is what I'm going to do. So I started studying nutrition. I started putting all the effort into it. And as I got sicker, we decided to go back to South Africa, where I had a support system and my mom could help to look after her. Again, lost all my hair, I entered a transformation challenge. I dropped the weight, I dropped 22 kilograms, and I started going through chemotherapy, and I suffered multiple setbacks, cardiac arrest due to the treatment, renal failure. I have one barely functioning kidney. The other one isn't functioning anymore. I have heart problems due to the treatments that I had. But I did obstacle course racing to raise awareness for cancer. I was a motivational speaker for the Cancer Association in South Africa. And in January of 2015, my husband came to Qatar with a job opportunity. I stayed behind to go through treatment. And March of 2015, I finished my treatment in South Africa, and I was given 12 to 18 months by the doctors there. So I left South Africa and I came to join my husband here, and ended up going to Al Amal Hospital, the cancer hospital here, met an amazing doctor, told him everything that I went through, and I'm currently being treated by Al Amal Hospital. And it's now been 18 months past my 12 to 18 months time that I was given, and I'm still here. I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. And I've made a change in my mindset, because I firmly believe that if you've got the right attitude, there's very little in life that you cannot achieve. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that happen in our life that we have no control over. And to keep worrying about it brings me nothing. So what I do focus on is those things that I can control. And that is my health, it's my lifestyle, and it's my attitude. And I want to be able to give other people some inspiration and motivation to be able to make that same change, that it doesn't matter what the circumstances is in your life, it does come down to a choice. And it's not a choice that I made once, it's a choice that I make every single day, because I don't feel positive every single day. Mm-hmm. I also have times when it all feels too much for me, but at the end of the day, I sometimes say we're human. It's okay to cry yourself to sleep, but what matters is tomorrow morning you get up again. And that's the message that I want people to understand, is get up again. And that's why I'm here, to try and change other people's lives as well.
That's such an incredible story, and I'm
Thank
so
you.
touched
Thank
right
you.
now.
Thank
And
you.
I have no words. I don't know what to say right now, but thank you so much for sharing your story. And I just wanted to, maybe ask you, you were going through so much in such a short amount of time, and you were 24 when you had
Yes.
cancer, and I'm 22 now, and I think about it, and these are things that don't even concern me. Yes, I want to be a healthy person. I want to grow old and be healthy and be able to walk and all of that. But that is something for a young woman to face. That is something so challenging and so extraordinary that you were able to overcome that. And I'm just curious to know how you trained your mind to do that. It's like now I'm just sitting here and thinking, wow, this woman is so inspiring, and she's gone through so much, and she's still here, and you're so strong. But how do you train your mind every day to do that, to be that strong?
Well, that's actually something that I also have a lot of passion about, is the concept of your mind, like I said. And there's two things or 2 points that I need to raise there. The one is that we sometimes say things, even if it's in jest or a joke, but what we don't understand is that when we say these things, that even though you say, oh, but I'm just joking, subconsciously your mind starts picking it up. So, for example, with clients, I usually tell them something as simple as you are on a meal plan. You're deciding to live healthy. So now you're at Starbucks with some friends and you're going to have coffee, and your friends all order cake. And they ask you, but why don't you want a piece of cake? Okay, so now one of two things happen. You're most probably going to say, oh, no, I'm not allowed to. I'm on a diet. Okay, so firstly, even though it might seem very innocent, you're not allowed to, mm-hmm. The reality is that you're basically telling your mind that you're being deprived of something, mm-hmm. Okay? Which means that eventually down the line, you're going to get to a point where, I'm never going to ever have this again in my life. And then you want to overindulge in it. Something as simple as changing and say, oh, no, thank you, I don't want to. So it becomes a choice. So it's not like, oh, I would love to have the cake, but I'm not allowed to. It now becomes, I don't want the cake. It's a choice that you made. Mm-hmm. So by consciously saying things like that, it changes the mind. We think it becomes an empowering feeling, knowing that, you know what, I didn't have that piece of cake, not because Sondra would be very upset with me that I had that piece of cake, but because I chose not to have it. I can have it if I want to. I'm a free person, but I chose not to have it. So it's those small things that eventually becomes a mindset, because, and it flows over into everything, not just food, not just health, everything becomes empowering, because you realize that first I made a choice and I was strong. It was a choice to be strong. And it becomes easier because we're training our mind to make those decisions easier. So that's the one thing, the things that we say to ourselves. The other part of it is a simple sentence, and that is finding your why. A lot of people have asked me, how do you even go about, functioning every day when it's like my husband and I, we call it swings and roundabouts. It's some days it goes really well, and then other days we have the situation where we would just look at each other and just start laughing with like my foot, for example. My treatment makes my bones brittle and your ligaments are very soft. So I literally just jumped off of something and it just snapped. And we're sitting in the emergency room and he's looking at me and they're putting the cast on, and all we can do is start laughing, because it gets to a point where it's almost laughable, all the things that happen. But it's just another thing that happened. But for me, I always say that amidst all of this, you need to find your why. Why do you need to be strong? Why do I need to get up today? Why do I need to be healthy? And I'm fortunate enough to know that my why is that little redhead girl. I need to be strong enough for her, because at the end of the day, I could live another 20 years, but I'm living it scared every single day. Oh, when is it going to happen? What's the next thing? Or I can have 2 months left with her, but it's the best 2 months of her life, and it's a life where I've actually lived. I don't just want to survive, I want to live. And I want her to remember me that way. And that is the big thing that people need to remember. You need to find your why. Why do you want to do what you want to do? And you might not know immediately when I ask a lot of clients, but I tell them, go and think about it. If you need to, write it down, but find your why. Because us as people, we're all flawed, and we are used to disappointing ourselves, and we can live with the disappointment in ourselves. But the moment you have an external motivation, then the days that I feel I can't go on, I have to just stand at her door and look at her when she's sleeping. And it's more than I need to just keep carrying on, because she is my why.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. I'm sure when she listened to this episode, she'll feel really, really blessed to have a mom like you. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway, so I wanted to ask you, what do you tell your clients who come to your studio? How do they, what tips do you give them? Not just, mentally, but physically, health-wise and nutrition-wise, everything. Like, how are you different?
I think the reason, I take a very personal approach to my clients. So firstly, meal plans and training plans that I give to clients are totally customized to each client. I do a full health questionnaire through with them, a lifestyle assessment. I have a lot of clients that work, for example, in the ambulance services, that work shifts. So for them, it's difficult. And if you have a plan that's your typical cookie cutter, one size fits all, it's very difficult to make it work. And the moment a plan is difficult to make it work, it won't be something you're going to stick to. So for me, the big thing is what I tell clients is that I approach my plans in phases. So for example, the first 2 weeks, you get a set meal plan, but limited options. Because if I suddenly give you an a la carte menu and you have to now make sure that you're eating and you're getting all your nutrients in, it becomes overwhelming, and then people tend to give up. So we approach it slowly. So we first get a set plan. Then week 2 to 4, we add more options. Then week 4 to 6, we start swapping around your meals. So this day's breakfast, that day's lunch. And then week 6 onwards is where I encourage people to start substituting. So instead of seeing your lunch of chicken stir fry with vegetables and quinoa as chicken stir fry, vegetables and quinoa, you need to see it as chicken. Okay, so it's a protein source. So here's my list of healthy proteins. So I think today I'll have a piece of salmon. And instead of my vegetables stir fried, I'll have a salad. And instead of my quinoa, I think I'm going to have a baked potato. So there you've got a perfect lunch, but you've substituted, which means you're starting to understand how you're supposed to eat. You're starting to understand portion sizes. So that means if you were to go for a weekend to a brunch or you go on holiday, you're not going to stand there and sit there with your little plastic container eating your food because this is what's on my meal plan. You're able to know what to eat, stay within your portion sizes, still have a social life and not be miserable. So that's the biggest thing, that it needs to be customized to you as a person. And I always tell clients, the more feedback you give me, the more I can give back. If something doesn't work for you, don't force it. Tell me, we change it until we get what the golden formula is for you as a person. And the other thing that I started realizing is there was a huge need for healthy treats. There are healthy treats available in some of the shops, but they're either extremely pricey or they're still loaded with preservatives or, I mean, any ingredients that you can't pronounce, you should stay away from. So that got me into that whole mindset of creating something that's easy for people. Because again, as a mom, the easier it is for me to make, the better. And I started introducing products into Yala Healthy. So I started introducing fit mixes. So it's amaze balls, I call them, because they're pretty amazing, and they're balls.
Awesome.
So it's a dry mix that you buy. It's got whey isolate protein in. It has maca root powder, which is a superfood, a Peruvian root superfood, which is excellent for regulating hormones, antioxidants. And people basically just add the wet ingredients. So dates and peanut butter, and you roll it into little balls. And you've got the perfect sweet treat without the guilt. And I also launched one for kids, which is dairy-free, nut-free, gluten-free, vegan. And superfood shots. I'm a huge fan of superfoods. I drink a lot of smoothies, add it to my superfoods. So I have little superfood shots with maca root, raw cocoa powder, chia seeds, bee pollen in, and also some omega seed mixes that people can put over a salad. You can throw it into your muffins. You can put it over your yogurt, your oatmeal. It's just those little things that make life easier for you to be healthy. And that's what at the end of the day, what it's about. We overcomplicate things. And just eat as close as possible to the source. That is, so what I'm saying with that is, if you want to make pasta tonight, instead of buying the red pasta sauce with all the preservatives in, eat closer to the source. So go and get some fresh garlic, some fresh onion, some fresh tomato, and make your own. Closer to the source you eat, the more you cut out all these things that we get inside of food that our bodies actually shouldn't be getting in.
Yeah, well, that sounds really amazing, because personally I feel like whenever you go to a nutritionist, it's always, well, you have to eat all of these good things, but there's no sort of like adjusting to my lifestyle, like what I generally eat, because and the nutritionist comes from a different culture, then it doesn't match with what I generally eat, so I'm really excited to hear that that's what you offer. And how can people approach you, your company? How can they buy these healthy treats?
So I have a online shop on www.yalahealthy.com. And people can order the treats online. Everything is available there. It gives you a complete nutritional breakdown of everything. It gives you the benefits of all the products, what you can use it for, some serving suggestions. And then also through the website, they can contact me if they are looking for nutrition guidance. And then I do fitness training as well, but I do it at a studio at home. And again, because I take a personal approach, I cap the amount of clients I take in. Otherwise, I feel you can't give each client the attention that they actually need. Also, as a nutritionist, all my clients are on WhatsApp and they know that I'm available 24/7. We do full assessments every 2 weeks. We check stuff such as, I always say, it's not just about the physical, it's also about the changes on the inside. So when we do assessments, we also check stuff like your visceral fat, your muscle mass, water percentage, bone density, those things that also make a difference in people's quality quality of life. And they can contact me through there. I'm on Instagram as well as Yala Healthy, and on Facebook also as Yala Healthy. And all my contact details is also on all of those pages. And also in the Society magazine, I do a monthly write-up. I'm a wellness writer there. So every month there's a new topic. If people want some info and some good advice, they can also grab a copy of those.
That's amazing. So, question, because this is something that I always think, and I look at like these Instagram fitness models, and they have like a six-pack ab, and everything looks perfect about them, and I think, well, how long do they work out in a day for? So I want to ask you, because I've heard, so the person who asked us to interview you, the person who reached out to us said, oh my God, you got to see the abs on this woman. So I want to ask you, how long do you work out for?
Okay, so I have absolute love and hate relationship with working out. Okay, I have to admit that. So a lot of the fitness people you see always talk about, I can't wait to be in the gym. Oh, I could live in the gym. I could be in the gym for 4 hours. I'm not that person. Okay, so I would drive to the gym the moment I drop my daughter off. Otherwise, if I first go home, it won't work. And then I'll probably sit in my car for another 30 minutes to convince myself that I need to get in there. Because once I'm in, I love it and I feel good afterwards. But again, if you think that, oh, I'm never going to be that person, you can totally relate to me. I also have to motivate myself all the time. But the thing is, it's not actually about motivation, it's about discipline. I'm not always motivated to gym, but I'm disciplined to go. And again, it's not, I say it's about working smarter, not harder. So with my training as such, I do not like cardio at all. So my cardio that I get in is when I train with my clients. Now, I train with every single client because I believe that it pushes them. And the type of training that I do is, imagine CrossFit married boot camp, and they married functional fitness, and it married resistance training. And then you have this mix of everything together.
Wow.
So it's resistance training with weights, because I'm a huge fan of that.
Super intense. That sounds super intense.
Super intense, very short rest periods, gets the heart rate going. So that's my cardio. But then when I go to the gym, I do isolated weight training. So it's heavy weights, controlled sets, good motion. So I would have to say, on average at this stage, I have about 3 clients a day that I train, which you're looking at about an hour each. So that's about 3 hours that I train with them. And then I myself go and train at the gym for about 50 to 60 minutes, but I do very little cardiovascular workouts. Every day, yes. And like now that I'm in a cast with my foot, I will just focus on doing upper body training as much as I can, since I can't do the rest. And I'm always on my feet. But that said, if anyone says that you cannot have a flat tummy after being 96 kilograms and that you cannot have it after having a C-section, it's not true. You can. So you can have abs, but honestly, abs is made in the kitchen. It's more about your nutrition than it is about any amount of workouts that you do.
Okay, well, that's nice to hear. So for the average person who does not work out 4 hours a day, how do they get the kind of body that you have?
Well, nutrition. Okay. You cannot out-train a bad diet. Nutrition is 80% of any of your results, and training is only 20%. You can get results with nutrition alone, but I always tell people the big thing is, if you only focus on nutrition, you're going to probably fit into the pants that you want. You might even get to the weight that you want. But when you look in the mirror, you might still not be happy with what you see, because it won't change your body composition. So it won't change the shape of your body. That is where training comes in. And again, as women, we are so focused on excessive amount of cardiovascular workouts. That's like your treadmill and your running. And again, it's going to help you lose weight, but it's not going to change your body composition. Resistance training is so overlooked by women because we're scared we're going to get big and bulky. But I'm telling you, you cannot get big and bulky because you do not have the hormones that's going to make you big and bulky. And if you see the women on the internet that you see, but look at how they look. Well, firstly, their goals are different to yours. So each one has their own goals. I admire the work that goes into it, but not everyone wants to look like that. But also understand that these women most probably supplemented with something that have given them the edge to be able to build muscle like that. Your average woman will not build muscle like that. But Have you had a look at some of these huge bodybuilders and the amount of food that they eat a day? 6,000, 8,000 calories, yet they still look like they do at 5 or 6% body fat. Because the higher your muscle mass is, the more your basal metabolic rate, so the more you can actually eat. So literally, I lift weights to eat pizza, because the more weights I lift, the more muscle I get, the more my body can get away with those small little cheats in between. So for women, absolutely resistance training. And when I'm saying resistance training, I don't mean a 1 kilogram weight. I'm talking about if you want to do bicep curls and you want to do 10 of them, that weight needs to be heavy enough that you really, really need to push to get 10 done. Otherwise, it's not really challenging your muscles. And you will be absolutely amazed at how your body changes the moment you start adding resistance training into your workouts. And it doesn't have to be weights, it can be body weight exercises, but women need to move away from the concept that you have to run hours and hours on a treadmill. It's not how it is. And you can combine resistance training as well as something that gets the heart rate going. So you don't have to spend 60 minutes on treadmill, 60 minutes doing resistance training. And it's about balance. 45 minutes, 50 minutes, it's all you actually need. But you need to keep your nutrition in check. Absolutely keep nutrition in check.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your advice and for sharing your story with us. I know
Thank you so
it's
much.
really difficult for some people to, talk about their life and their challenges and all of those things that they've faced. But thank you for being brave enough to share it with us. And I'm sure our listeners will really enjoy this episode and really be inspired to make a change in their life.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on this show. So hope you all have an amazing week and see you all in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.